guess I was calling about a vegan diet and the morality of eating a vegan diet versus a meat diet.
Okay, I don't know what that has to do with atheism.
Well, I guess it has to do with the idea that about compassion and not killing animals that want to live, more or less. That
why should I care? Why should I care if they want to live?
Because you talk about not owning slaves and not killing people.
Yeah, that's people.
But animals also, have feelings and have.
I wouldn't deny that. But so, do you know the difference between a moral virtue and a moral obligation?
Moral obligation? No, I guess I don't.
Okay, so let's say there's a kid standing out in the road and there's a bus coming. And you have the opportunity to rescue that kid without putting yourself at risk at all. You could make a good argument that you have a moral obligation to rescue that kid because there's zero risk, everything else. If the bus is really close and you would be putting yourself at risk, it would be morally virtuous of you to rescue that kid, but you're not necessarily under an obligation anymore. You're under a moral obligation to not run around killing people. But you're not under a moral obligation to never tell a lie, although that might in fact be virtuous. My view when it comes to morality is it's decidedly speciesist. It's undeniable, and I'm not at all bothered by that. It may in fact be morally virtuous to not eat animals, but I don't see it as a moral obligation. That said, there are certainly problems with meat industry that I object to, where we may be doing harm to the planet in some cases. But what I find most of the time when I talk to, especially ethical vegans, is that there's a gross oversimplification because they've been, listening to Peter Singer or whoever just talk about a simplified view of morality that's about suffering. Would it then be wrong to eat insects who might suffer?
I agree with that too, though.
So you wouldn't eat insects either?
Not to eat insects.
Sure. Okay. No. Cool. I don't have that problem. How many animals die while we're farming the vegetables that we eat?
I mean, it's unfortunate, and I'm sure if we become more aware of the situation and more compassionate, we figure out ways not to kill.
What about people who have dietary? What about because humans aren't herbivores; they're omnivores. So what about people who have specific diet problems that would require them, or financial constraints that don't make a vegan diet particularly beneficial or cost effective?
I just saw a paper actually that said only herbivores get atherosclerosis. And
humans aren't herbivores.
Well, that's the paper. So the paper is saying that only herbivores get atherosclerosis, and only humans get atherosclerosis. Dogs don't get atherosclerosis.
Okay, the paper's full of crap. Because all that is a redefinition. Humans are not obligate herbivores at all. You can choose to have an herb-based diet. You can choose to have a plant-based diet. And if you live in the monumentally privileged West, you have access to all sorts of things that might make it easier for you to have an herb-based diet. And you're welcome to have a view. And I don't go out. I don't eat whatever you want. I'm not objecting along those lines.
But the
question is it immoral to eat meat?
Yes.
So if I come across a dead animal on the side of the road, it's immoral for me to eat that?
No.
Oh, well then it's not immoral to eat meat. So now we're talking...
It's immoral to kill. It's immoral to kill an animal to eat it.
Right, but now we're talking about something else. So it's not the meat eating that is immoral.
No.
It is the killing. And I disagree with you, that I have no problem at all with killing to sustain life. It's you can talk about it being unfortunate, but you need to make a case.
It is unfortunate.
Sure, I'm fine with that. I like animals. I like some of them more than others. But the issue is you have to make a case that there's a moral obligation to not kill an animal in order to get me to change my mind.
Well, what about? I mean, like the 99%, probably 99% of the animals that we do eat, or that people eat, are farm like factory farm.
That doesn't matter.
Okay.
That's not an argument for why there's a moral obligation to not.
So you're okay with you're okay with like a screaming pig as you kill it? You're okay with that, or like a chicken that wants to like eat food and walk around? You're okay with breaking its neck and
yes,
and then frying it up while you can eat fruits or vegetables or
yeah,
and you're okay with that?
Yes, I have hunted, killed, cleaned, and cooked meat on my own.
Right, and so that to me, that sounds like it's okay, like a slavery argument.
No, because they're not people. I already said it was speciesist. So the thing about morality,
you're right, exactly. I don't think.
Okay, it doesn't mean I'm wrong either. Congratulations, we're at an impasse. Saying it doesn't mean I'm right. I'm telling you what my views on morality are.
That's where Matt draws the line. You draw the line in a different
place,
spot.
And you have to make a compelling case for why I should change my mind and draw the line there.
I feel it's the same case of what people thought about African slaves in America. They thought
I don't know how many. No,
that was racist.
I mean, like
not
speciesist. Well, I mean, there's really only one race.
Is that what you're saying?
One species. I mean, I'm sorry.
I was just trying to clarify. Is that what you mean? That they said they were being racist in much the same way Matt is being speciesist now? Is that kind of what you're getting at?
Yes, that's what I'm getting at.
They were saying that's different because they're black. That this is different because they're not people.
Well, even if you're correct, even if Caven, even if you're correct, and my speciesism is as wrong as the racism that allowed for slavery, you have to actually make a case for why that is. You don't get to say, well, hey, people used to think this way.
I mean, it's
why is speciesism wrong?
Was wrong.
Why is speciesism wrong?
Why is speciesism wrong? It's because one is it's slightly killing us, eating the animals, and two,
it's not killing us. It's not killing us. It's sustaining us. This is another one of those open. Is the shark immoral for eating a fish?
No.
Why not?
Because that's its ecosystem. That's its life. We're smarter than the shark in a sense.
So what? What's that have to do with it?
I mean, it has a lot to do with it because we now have we know not to kill a fish. We know we can live without killing the fish. The fish who's coming out of the water with a hook in his mouth and like gasping for life
is tasty.
Suffering. It's tasty, but so it's human, and so it's a lot of things.
I don't know whether or not humans tasty, but the point is,
humans taste like chicken.
If it's not immoral for the shark to eat a fish. You're saying it's immoral for me.
Sharks.
I'm aware that we're not sharks, but you're saying it's immoral for the shark, or not immoral for the shark to do it, but it's immoral for me to do it. I'm asking, what's the distinction?
Because we know better.
We don't know better. I don't know better. I don't know that it's immoral. You don't just. I mean, now you're just making an assertion.
Okay. Well, I mean. Well, I guess.
So morality, moral responsibility. From my view, moral responsibility is tied to a capacity to understand the consequences of one's actions. And we draw lines along species. We draw lines along species for very good reason. Because let's say there's someone, a young boy, for example, I had somebody in my family, who's basically born with no cognitive abilities at all. Okay? He's still a human being. And the reason that we include that individual, even though they are not a thinking being at all, a human born with no cognitive abilities, they can't possibly assess their actions. They are under no moral evaluation. They have no moral reasoning. But we treat them within this category of humans because there are other people who care about that kid. Okay?
Right.
And so it would be wrong of me to kill that kid, even though he's brain dead, because of its impact on those other people who are moral reasoners and moral actors.
Right.
This is not an equitable arrangement when we start crossing the boundaries of species. Now, are there some species that I would put on, the side of the line for moral evaluation, such that they would be on the side of, do not eat? Sure. But that doesn't mean everything. It doesn't mean insects, which is why I went to that first. It doesn't necessarily mean fish, which is why even a lot of people who have problems with factory farming are still pescatarians. This is not a resolved issue. And I'm not claiming that I'm right. I just have not been convinced And when ethical vegans in particular try to make the case that it's the same responses over all the time, it's, oh, doesn't it bother you that the little animals suffer? Sure. What difference does that make? Because the fact that
it makes a difference. It makes a difference to the animal that's suffering.
Okay. What if we killed animals where they felt nothing, no suffering? Would it still be immoral?
Would they felt nothing at all? Would it be immoral?
Yeah,
it might be. Yeah, I think it would be because
exactly. So why are you bringing up suffering? This is the problem I have every time I get in this argument. You state what you state what your primary foundation is, and then when we come up with an example that negates that primary foundation, you want to stay with it's still immoral. So you guys got to figure out what is the actual foundation.
Animal unnecessarily is what I'm saying. Unnecessarily.
Okay. What's the determination? What's the determination of whether or not it's necessary? If I'm out in the woods and I'm about to starve to death, and there's a squirrel next to me, it becomes necessary, right?
Well, I mean, like it depends on how we can live a long time without eating. Humans can live a long time without eating.
I don't know how that addresses the question at all because the scenario set it up where it was more neat.
If you have to eat the animal, then that's one thing.
And so it's morally permissible then.
Animal to live.
If it's morally permissible then, so it's morally permissible in those situations, right?
I wouldn't say it's moral. I would say it's a necessity.
Let's say John and I crash let's say John and I crash at the top of the mountain. Is there ever a scenario where it's morally permissible for him to eat me?
If you're dead, that's cool.
If I'm already dead.
And he needs to survive, and he needs like that movie Alive, or the soccer team that landed in the Alps or whatever.
But apart from me dying of natural causes, even if I'm going to die.
If he suffocated you to eat you, then that's be immoral.
Okay.
But if you're already dead and he needed to eat you, then I'd be, hey, go for it.
But what if we're both just about dead and I happen to die first?
Yeah.
But John knows that if he waits for me to die, he will no longer have the strength to build a fire and cook and eat me.
Well, that's between you two, I guess. That's a
okay. Then me eating a chicken is between me and the chicken, and as soon as the chicken tells me
it's not. The chicken doesn't have.
As soon as the chicken tells me that he objects, how do you know that? How do you know what a chicken wants?
Well, if the chicken say he wants to be eaten.
Do you think? Here's the problem. Here's the problem, Caven. Here's the problem. The chicken doesn't know it's going to be eaten. It doesn't want to be handled. It doesn't want to be touched.
It knows it's in danger.
It doesn't. It may. No. So you're talking about a fight or flight response. You don't get to. Don't get to anthropomorphize it to say that it doesn't want to be eaten. It doesn't have a concept of being eaten.
Well, they know not to. They know.
And
how
quite
to
frankly,
danger to die. They may.
I'm okay with being eaten if I'm already dead.
Know that.
I'm okay with being eaten if I'm already dead.
Me too. And I'm okay with eating animals if they're already dead. But it's the fact that we're killing the animals.
I don't think a shark is immoral.
Especially we don't need to.
Well,
no,
okay.
I don't think so either.
So first of all, if you're just going to base it on need, get rid of your phone. You don't need it.
I do need it.
No, you don't. Humans survived.
I need for jobs.
Humans survived for millions of years without any sort of cell phone.
Survived, yeah. But
do you ever drink anything other than water? Like you ever have a soft drink?
I only drink. Well, now I only drink water, but I have drinking soft drinks, and it's not good for you either. I mean, it's not good for.
Okay,
but you don't need. But you don't need it.
So this is
why
you
don't need it at all. No,
this is why I wasn't particularly interested in taking this call, and it's because these conversations get roadblocked because I have a particular view of morality, and what needs to happen is somebody needs to show me why that's wrong, and what I get are assertions about suffering. What I get are it's just wrong for you to be speciesist, with no demonstration of why.
Well, what makes you think that slavery is wrong?
What makes me think that slavery is wrong? Because morality is about well-being, and I'm talking about humans and thinking creatures that I might actually include in that category. And this diminishes the well-being of the individuals that are enslaved, and it also diminishes the well-being of the culture that is doing the enslaving.
Right, I agree, and I agree that is equally the same with animal. We're diminishing. Not only are we diminishing our environment, we're killing our environment.
No, we're not. No, how are we? So first of all, if your primary objection is about the methods by which factory farms operate or whatever that are harmful to the environment, I already said at the beginning, I'm fine with that being a problem that needs to change. But that's fundamentally different from your claim that it is immoral to kill an animal.
Yeah. I mean, okay.
And you won't eat insects, but I bet you're okay with the fact that insects and animals die as a necessary byproduct.
I'm not okay with it. I'm not okay with it.
Okay, what are you doing about that?
I mean, I don't know what I can do about that. I would like to. I have heard of vegan farms where I do believe the animals are not being harmed.
Really? So they're able to hoe a row and plant seeds without hurting worms or anything?
I'm not 100% sure exactly, but
I'm not either.
I did hear a debate.
But at the end of the day, your issue is that it's wrong to kill animals, and I am trying to figure out what backs that up that is wrong about my view, other than that we just have a disagreement.
Well, I mean, it's because you can physically see the animal being in pain when you kill it.
You know what?
If you
I'm sorry. I don't get it. I'm not saying that torment or torture is good. I'm not saying I don't like animals or let's just willy-nilly slaughter everything. I'm not in any way advocating for violence. I'm just saying that I don't see the justification for saying that killing and eating the flesh of animals is immoral. And the mere fact that you keep saying, oh, well, you can see it, squirming or whatever. I even gave you a hypothetical where there's no pain, no suffering, no squirming. You still wanted to say it was immoral.
That's different.
You said it was okay.
That's fine. I mean, and if we can get the lab meat, that's totally fine. We get culture from an animal without hurting it, and we eat that. You want to kill yourself eating meat? That's cool too.
Okay. Now you have slipped over into the sort of hyperbole that guarantees that I'm about to hang up. When you start talking about killing yourself by eating meat, you have gone well beyond the pale, and we've spent more than enough time on this. It has nothing to do with atheism. So put together your case and send it to email at tv@atheist-community.org. Maybe I'll give it some more time or thought. But if you don't have a case for why it's actually immoral, beyond just you personally are not comfortable with killing animals, I don't know how we can fix this. But when you start doing you're free to kill yourself with meat.
I was just giving my opinion. I was giving my opinion on.
I don't give a shit about people's opinions about health issues. Right. I care about the science of health issues. I care about the science of health issues. Science has shown that eating meat is killing you. Science has shown that eating meat is killing you.
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
And there's plenty of books out there.
Stop. Send me the scientific papers that show that eating meat is killing you. And you better not send hey, too much red meat is harmful. I want a paper that says eating meat is killing you. And then we'll talk again.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing. I have lots of vegan friends who are vegans for different reasons at different times. Eat, if you want a vegan diet because your view of morality is that it's immoral, that's fine. I may even be wrong. This is something Sam Harris and I will probably talk about at some point. We're doing 3 or 4 events together, and I know that he's been...
Is he a vegan?
No, and neither's Richard. But Richard's acknowledged that he may, in fact, be engaged in immorality by eating meat, at least in one conversation that vegans love to pass around all over the place. The issue is, if I'm wrong, you've got to come with a compelling case. Because what you're saying is... what I'm advocating is immoral. Not that it's morally neutral, not that we don't have a settled understanding of whether or not it's moral, but that it's actually wrong. Until you can make a case that is, strong, I'm not going to change my mind. But I'm not saying that you're wrong. I'm saying I remain unconvinced in much the same way that I don't say, generally, there's no such thing as God. I'm unconvinced that there is a God. I may be strongly convinced that there's not, depending on the definitions. And I'm happy to have the conversations. But there are people who seem obsessed to the point of making multiple videos on whether or not I'm a vegan because they see it as immoral. So make your case. We watched a video recently from, I think, was it Peter Singer that we watched? Anyway, it was so full of fallacious reasoning. I had like 2 pages of notes on it. And it still doesn't mean that they're wrong. It's about making a compelling case.